Hello and welcome to semifinal coverage of Grand Prix Richmond. I'm Brian David Marshall, joined in the booth by Eduardo Sajulik. And Eduardo, we're watching Alex Ha on your left playing what he describes as nothing special, black-red. Said, just playing a really good deck. I wanted to do well this weekend. Started this season on 6 pro points and has spent the entire season trying to get to bronze. Didn't have a lot of luck. Got to this event, was like, well, maybe if I don't do it this weekend, maybe it's time to move on and play in more casual events. Things have worked out well for him.
Exactly. And it's actually better to do that, have a lot of bad events and have one good one, than try to spread out. I mean, in essence, we remember those epic moments, right? Winning Grand Prix, or even top 8ing them, doing well.
Speak for yourself.
I've never won a trophy. I don't know what you mean.
Seth Manfield, of course, he is looking to put some distance between himself and Reed Duke and Luis Salvato. Really needs to make even a little bit deeper run here to really put some distance between them and maybe put the final nail in the coffin of this Player of the Year race this weekend if he wins this.
Yeah, it's been a really nail-biting experience there. Seth, Chain Whirler, perfectly on time, both on two fronts. Not just killing the Fopter kind of as a value of that enter the battlefield trigger, but also a really good defensive package. Both the Chain Whirler able to block the Scrounger or able to create the Heart of Kirin if Alex decides to remove the Chain Whirler, meaning that Alex this turn, the brakes are maybe going to be pumped on Alex this turn. And that Chandra in hand, not a really great threat in the face of Heart of Kirin.
Yeah, absolutely. Seth, again, not playing the aggro role in this black-red matchup. There's a Rekindling Phoenix from Alex Hahn.
Right, Rekindling Phoenix. We've been saying this all over again. Probably at most of the matches of this weekend, key card in the red mirrors. It usually takes 2 cards to get rid of. It flies, it's efficient, it's a lot of damage. It's the card you want in red mirrors.
And those 2 cards in Seth Manfield's deck could be 2 copies of Vraska's Contempt he could deal with on a 1-for-1 basis, actually.
Right.
One of the reasons, again, his deck is configured the way it is in the main deck.
Right, that's why you see in Seth's deck 3 Cinder Barons, 2 Swamps, needs that double black for Vraska's Contempt, and Karn also allowing to draw extra lands and make these Vraska's Contempts happen.
Seth not looking like he has double black here.
Right. At this point in the match, Seth is just trying to figure out what's the role. Attacking here would probably with Chain Whirler will probably just not get blocked, but then Seth has to be feeling confident that Alex does not have a good attack back. Otherwise, Seth will just deploy the best possible threat and stay back. And yeah, again, the Rekindling Phoenix.
So Phoenix is on both sides of the table.
And Alex, while it is an aggro deck, still playing, 5 drops in Glorybringer. Hazoret being the other key 4-drop, Chandra, Torch of Defiance. I mean, we do call these aggro decks, but they're really kind of all mid-range decks. I mean, they do start at Bomad Courier for some of them, but so many powerful 4-drops in the format for the red decks. Here we have Chandra and a Braid. So it's interesting to see what Alex is going to do here. Alex probably believes that the Chandra is not safe to deploy and that Seth would be too easily able to get rid of it, or get rid of her in this case. So probably Alex is going to set up to be defensive this turn with the Braid, and then in the future try to deploy Chandra and go to victory there. There's also, again, the possibility of Glorybringer. And for Glorybringer to work, you need to get rid of that Rekindling Phoenix.
You see a second black source for Seth Manfield. Suddenly, any Vraska's Contempts he draws might be online.
Yes, Seth plays less copies of Unlicensed Disintegration, realizing that where you want to be in this format is really exiling. And that's also why the blue-black mid-range deck has been doing well, is just those 4 copies of Vraska's Contempt. A really key card in that deck, and it's starting to slowly bleed into every other archetype as they realize, well, we need to just remove these creatures.
And here you see Seth Manfield not committing his Heart of Kirin.
Yeah, and now from Alex's perspective, this is a really difficult line, simply because You understand that Seth likely has a creature since you didn't attack with Heart here, but wants to keep it on defense. You're trying to wonder what is Seth going to deploy here that is good on defense and would allow Seth to be offensive, or basically go on the offensive. So it's really hard to determine here for Alex what it could be. I would maybe put Seth on something like a Phoenix or a really hard to deal threat like a Karn.
So he aims Unlicensed Disintegration at the Phoenix. I believe it was at the Phoenix, right?
Yeah. It could be also that Seth has in hand something like Chandra and would want to use the mana as removal. Here, yeah, Unlicensed on the Phoenix. That is indelible damage from Unlicensed Disintegration. Doesn't get talked about much, but it really adds up quickly. And since Seth will always on average grind out Alex, it's going to be really important for Alex's game plan. And now Seth's also wondering, well, why is my Phoenix targeted with Unlicensed Disintegration? Does Alex just have the Chain Whirler to kill the token, or is it something else? Is it a second removal spell, or is it one of Alex's Glory Bringers?
Seth chooses to abrade the Scrounger in response. He doesn't want to take that damage from Unlicensed Disintegration, and also wants to just keep Alex Hahn back from mounting too much offense.
Right, and exactly. That incidental damage, Seth decided it's not something I want to face because Seth understands the role in the matchup. Given enough time, Seth should be able to win. Yeah, Pia and Nalar here able to crew the heart. Seth deciding that Alex doesn't have Chain Whirler in this spot, since it, but rather something else like maybe a Glory Bringer.
But he does have the Chain Whirler.
I believe he actually drew it.
Oh, okay.
I think his hand was something like Chandra and Abrade, and then just draw Goblin Chain Whirler right on time here. Plus that Abrade dealing with the Heart of Kieran, attacking in, swinging this game in Alex's favor massively. And now Seth is going to have to trade and look to, buy time. Alex will then slam the Chandra down and take over this game. Yeah,
Seth Manfield on his back foot.
Yeah, that Chain Whirler, really the perfect draw. Right time. But, we put cards in our deck to draw them, so, totally fair.
It's the same reason you tell people not to play with bad cards.
Right, exactly.
Because sometimes you'll draw them. There's the Vraska's Contempt. Speaking of good cards off the top.
Yeah, you alluded to this a lot. Now the board is at parity. I think without this Vraska's Contempt, Seth would have been in too much trouble. And now, I wonder how Alex is going to navigate this, since Alex wants the Chandra down, but it's going to be easier to protect the Chandra by dealing with Seth's board. One way that Alex could deal with Seth's board is offering trades and trying to incentivize Seth to take trades that would be unfavorable. With the Chandra and Cut in hand, the other line that Alex could do is play Chandra, use mana, cut, kill the Goblin Chain Whirler. Chandra's at 5, and Pia Nalar is not really going to deal with this Chandra efficiently.
Seems like that does not look like the sequence that Alex is going to go with. Instead, he's going to just cut the Chain Whirler and now attack with his Chain Whirler and the Pia Nalar.
I feel here that Alex could have deployed the Chandra. As Seth draws more cards, it's going to be harder to protect. And, yeah, I feel really here that the Chandra, it may have been better to deploy it. A Glory Bringer from Seth would have been extraordinarily powerful, though, as a countermeasure. So that's probably what Alex is considering here.
All right, Pia attacks for 14. Must be something in hand here for Seth Manfield. It's going to be a cut of his own.
Yeah, if Seth is attacking with Pia, Seth is probably planning to at least kill the Goblin Chain Whirler and have something else on top.
Yeah, there's cut on the Chain Whirler. Now 2 mana, and he plays another copy of Heart of Kieran.
Probably Seth has in hand Magma Spray, since the ribbons in the graveyard would be lethal for Alex, and is at least representing it. But from Alex's perspective, it's just free to take the Scrounger and ask Seth, do you actually have it? And yeah, this is going to be lethal damage if it comes through, since there's a ribbons in the graveyard. Alex could also just play Chandra.
Wow, and there is ribbons for the kill. Alex Hahn goes up 1-0 on Seth Manfield, current leader in the Player of the Year race, currently looking to be the U.S. national captain at the World Magic Cup.
Yeah, I mean, playing for quite a bit. Seth really had to have a top 8 to even gain more pro points from this event. Managed it.
Yeah. He's gonna end up padding his lead a little bit. Reed and Luis Salvato have pulled into a tie at exactly 78 points apiece.
So Seth going to 81 at least. However, I guess at this point, Luis Salvato, the most likely candidate to catch up.
Still, yeah. He's going to be in Detroit next weekend, playing alongside Alexander Hayne and Thiago Saporito. Reed Duke will also be playing next weekend in Detroit, and he's going to be playing alongside, William Huey Jensen and Owen Turtenwald, his Hall of Fame friends. And don't feel bad for Reed Duke that he's not in the Hall of Fame. He's just not eligible yet.
I actually feel worse for Reed Duke because he had to commentate for roughly an hour and a half on previous quarterfinals. Mike Sigrist proving that he can grind his way through.
And, if you think that was difficult on those guys, it was also difficult on Siggy. I walked through the feature match area between games 2 and 3, and Siggy looked up at me. He's like, "I'm sorry." Just shook his head sadly. He's like, "I'm so sorry." He's like, "I kind of hope one of us gets mana screwed. I don't even care who it is." He's like, "It's been a long afternoon."
This is similar to Reed wanting Seth to win so he doesn't have to travel to events anymore and believes, okay, we're done with the Player of the Year race. I don't have to worry about that anymore. But yeah, just to kind of talk about how this matchup will look post-board. Yeah, looking at the sideboards, what we want as when you're playing these black-red decks is usually to out-mid-range the opponent. Cards like Bomat Courier usually not going the distance when your opponent plays Goblin Chain Whirler. So we're going to see Seth probably board in a card such as Angrath, the Flame Chained. Probably not Bloodfast, Bloodfast being a better card against the control decks. Definitely, though, Free Challenger's Defeat, 2 Doomfall, key to deal with Rekindling Phoenix with a flurry of removal spells taking care of the rest. We are unlikely to see the rest. Again, the cards that matter are too often creatures. The Karn Sign of Urza are kind of nice in these mid-range mirrors since it's hard to deal with Karn, and with a removal package into Karn, it's hard for the black-red aggro deck to come back.
Do you see another copy of Vraska's Contempt coming in as well?
Definitely. With Rekindling Phoenix being a problem, the fact that Alex runs copy of Hazoret the Fervent, you definitely want that for copy. Eldest Reborn, also really good. Just gaining card advantage, potentially getting back a really key threat. Let's say one of these Chandra Torch of Defiance.
Now, interesting, you said in these mid-range mirrors. Now, if you look up on the screen, you see Seth playing black-red mid-range. It says Alex Hahn's playing black-red aggro. How do you get a mid-range mirror here, Eduardo?
Right. So what Alex is going to do is going to be cutting kind of the early game aggression. It's the Bomat Courier is probably coming out. Carry Zev, not very good in the face of a Braid and Cut. Especially on the draw. Alex, I think on the play would be incentivized to keep Carry Zev, since in that play pattern, you play a 2-drop and your opponent responds with a 2-drop, while if you're on the draw, your opponent passes with 2 mana up, you play Carry Zev, they kill your creature, they're up, so you're trying to avoid that. So on the draw, I like cutting the Carry Zev, and we're going to see, since there's going to be a lot more removal, we're going to see Alex Hahn's curve going up with that extra Glory Bringer. The free Doomfalls, same reason as Seth, very important for those mid-range threats. The 2 Sorceress Spyglasses. Now, both players play Sorceress Spyglass. Alex, the thing is, this is a mirror match, so you don't really want Sorceress Spyglass. I've seen some players bring it in simply as a way to deal with Karn, would be the rationale. I wouldn't see more than one, though, but you can't really name anything other than Karn unless your plan is to board out a card that your opponent still has in their deck. Again, mirror match, it affects both players. The Free Challenger's Defeat coming in. On the draw, the 2 Magma Spray, the Magma Spray is probably coming in simply because you want as many ways to deal with Phoenix as possible, and with Seth on the play, there's a high chance that Seth is keeping in those Scrap Heap Scroungers to try to deal pressure. Magma Spray, the most efficient answer.
All right, so no one's going to edit the top, though, to say black-red aggro after sideboarding, but black-red mid-range after sideboarding, but that's how you see this match transitioning, and kind of interesting that Seth Manfield's deck has chosen to play that role in Game 1. If you know that that's what you do in the mirror, and you're expecting a lot of the mirror, one of the ways you can get an edge in a metagame is by switching to that build main deck.
Exactly. And, I mean, I mean, it was a really key chain whirler from Alex. Seth correctly read that Alex didn't have chain whirler, but Alex drew it off the top. At least we believe here.
Yeah.
And just took over as a result. But yeah, it is really... When you're in a matchup where both players are doing the same thing, the player that is just a tiny bit slower is usually ahead, traditionally in Magic's history. But you only want to be a tiny bit ahead. If you're to control, then you start having things like the mono-red Flame of Kel deck taking over.
All right, well, players are drawing up their hands here for game 2. See how Seth feels. He'll be on the play.
Alex Hahn, it seems, with 1 lance, probably not keeping that one.
Seth is keeping. Alex Hahn is going back for 6. So I talked to Alex in between the last round in the quarterfinals, and just get a little sense of him. He said he's been playing Magic forever, playing for about 14 years, only playing competitively for probably the last 5 or 6. Got to a Pro Tour a couple years ago, really liked it, really wanted to go back, very excited about earning an invite this weekend.
Yeah, and just to be clear, the invite was for Ravnica Legion, since we were, or was it because the RPDQs for Atlanta were?
But I believe this Pro Tour this Grand Prix is qualifying for the Pro Tour in Cleveland. I believe.
We really should check, but nonetheless, Alex is going to be really happy going to the Pro Tour. To be honest, when you qualify to a Pro Tour and all you care about is just being there and getting the experience, it doesn't really matter to some degree which one it is.
All right, keeps his 6. Doesn't like the top card, pushes it to the bottom.
With that land from hand from Alex, plenty of mana, so he was probably looking for action.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very funny. We saw the Scry Mulligan rule being a little less good in Legacy with so many fetch lands. Scrap Heap Scrounger is the first play here for Alex Hahn. He is on the board.
Right, and that card, Hazoret the Fervent, is going to be really key. Seth does have quite a few answers to it, but it can deal a lot of damage before, and that incremental damage will potentially put Alex in a position where something like a Key Cut the Ribbons could finish the job. And that's why the incidental life gain from Vraska's Contempt is also so powerful. Worth noting with Seth on the play, maybe 1 copy of Magma Spray might have come out. Magma Spray much better on the draw when you're trying to counter a Scrap Heap Scrounger and you have an extra card. On the play, with that being that card down, it is less relevant.
Pia Nalar is the play from Seth Manfield on turn 3. Puts it and a Thopter token into play.
A block here would not actually surprise me, simply because Seth's Planeswalker package means more card advantage, and with Alex mulliganing, I think that block is correct here from Seth.
Second copy of Scrounger for Alex Hahn after his first copy trades with the PNLR.
Seth is going into turn 4, which is usually the power turn of these black-red mirrors. A lot of powerful, well, kind of battle cruiser mythics and rares at 4 between Chandra, Torch of Defiance, Hazoret the Fervent, although Seth doesn't run that card, Karn, Sign of Urza. Even something like passing with Vraska's Contempt up here is more than enough, since you can choose to either kill the Scrap Heap Scrounger if Alex does nothing, or take Alex's next threat.
Just that 1 second source of black mana here with the Ether Hub right now, but plays Rekindling Phoenix. Again, another one of those big powerhouse cards at 4.
Yeah, really, even better than Hazoret in the red mirrors. We thought Hazoret was going to be the mirror breaker, but it turns out that Rekindling Phoenix really took over.
Well, here comes Hazoret.
It's worth noting that Alex had the opportunity to bluff attack here, Seth, by attacking with Scrap Heap Scrounger, and I think with Alex's hand, it might have been correct to do so. Alex is a little lower on resources, and I don't think that Alex is going to win a game of attrition against Seth in this position and with these deck builds. So I think here Alex was meant to attack, but it's because Seth does not want to put that Phoenix at risk.
Right, doesn't want to see a reenactment of game 1 where his token got chain whirlered away.
Right, but the difference there being that Seth would be the one responsible, while in the other game Seth didn't have a choice. It was destroyed by Unlicensed Disintegration in that key spot, and Alex was able to...
So you think Seth would just take the 3 damage there if the Scrounger had attacked?
I believe... It's not 100%, but I have yet to see someone make that block on camera today. Seth would probably block if he was insanely far ahead and just decide I can only lose the damage.
All right, here's Chandra Torture Defiance.
Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, one of the things you've said about this card is you've been surprised how rarely you've seen people use this to go up in mana, to maybe play 2 spells in 1 turn. Curious to see how Seth implements his card here.
Yeah. I mean, because if you +1, you just remove the card and it's just 2 damage. I like either Minusine or adding mana with a spell in hand here. Minusine at 1. Because you know that Alex doesn't have Chain Whirler. Alex would have attacked with Scrounger with Chain Whirler. Yeah. And this is what I mean. This turn, Alex would have probably dealt free damage to Seth with that bluff attack, and then it would have been, and then Seth would have been forced to do this play anyways.
All right, chooses to kill the Scrap Heap Scrounger with Chandra.
Right, and here Seth has to think, do I want to attack with Phoenix or not? Because Seth understands that the Phoenix is probably safe from additional removal, since Alex would have attacked otherwise, and that's why you see Seth pass with Phoenix rather than attack. Had Alex attacked last turn, there's a high chance that Seth would have attacked with Phoenix, believing that the Phoenix was never going to block in a situation like this, and the plan would have been to chump block with Fopter.
That's an awful lot of white bordered cards in hand for Alex on there.
Yeah, and since there's not really there's not many white border cards that are legal apart from basics.
That tells you very quickly what his hand is.
Yeah.
All air.
Yeah, all air is a very... What do you have? Air. Unfortunately, I mean, Hazoret is very powerful, but if Seth has a single answer to it, and it looks like Seth might with that Doomfall, but again, Alex could return a Scrappy Scrounger in response to a Doomfall. So what we might see here, depending on Seth's hand, is adding mana to prepare for a removal spell, Doomfall. If Alex returns the Scrap Heap Scrounger, then you kill the Scrap Heap Scrounger while the Doomfall is still on the stack.
All right, here's a Doomfall.
Yeah, and you can see Seth added mana because obviously you tap just Summit here. Right. Put Scrap Heap Scrounger, Seth probably has a removal spell of some sort here. Or just exiled? Okay, that's interesting. This indicates to me that Seth might have a second Doomfall. Or is just happy getting rid of Scrap Heap Scrounger, believing that Alex is stuck with free cards in hand and that they cannot be offloaded in time for Hazoret.
All right, there's a Scrounger for Seth. And is he still going to continue to take his time here, developing and, yeah, protecting his Chandra Torture Defiances? No, go ahead.
Yeah, and the Phoenix, and Seth probably feels like the Phoenix can block the Hazoret pretty cleanly. But Seth has to think about what Alex may draw, since Seth probably believes that Alex is not drawing much action, but it's not no action.
All right, well, Hazoret pitches a card.
It looks like Carry Zev. A card I highlighted should maybe have been taken out of the deck in this position. And you can kind of see why. It doesn't really do much. And even on turn 2, if Seth had something like an Abrade, or can Chandra it out. So I think Carry Zev has low value on the draw. But on the play, it is a much better threat.
Plays land, gets down to 1 card, and Hazoret is able to attack. And we're going to see Seth just put a Rekindling Phoenix in front of it. He's considering it, thinking about whether or not there's something.
He's just thinking, would Alex have Magma Spray? And Seth believes that since Alex knows Seth's basically sideboard plan, Seth would have come to the conclusion that Magma Spray may have come in, but in truth, it's not very good versus the Karn Chandra package. So probably there's a low probability of a Magma Spray based on how this game has gone, and simply the fact that Alex may not even have those cards. If Alex has Carry Zev in play, then the question is, what did Alex board out for Magma Spray? And there's not much in the deck that would come out.
This looks like Glorybringer. It is.
Yeah, and this is just going to be... I mean, at this point, Seth just has a lock on this board state. Keeping back the Phoenix.
He's going to exert, kill Carry Zev. Gets in for 4 damage. He's going to leave, like you said, leave that Rekindling Phoenix back.
Yeah, just I like the fact that Glorybringer not just kills a creature and then I've seen it enough times that Glorybringer attacks, kills a creature, and then both players are like take like some damage, and at some point someone realizes, oh wait, you take +4. This dragon attacked.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a total of 8 damage there, and don't worry about it. I've seen it happen, and even at like the top levels of the play, people forget the damage from Glorybringer just because it feels like it's already done so much work just killing a creature.
All right. Alex cycles a land, attacks Chandra.
This is a harder block for Seth. Alex played the land rather than discarding it to Hazoret. So Seth is suspecting that the last card in hand for Alex is a spell that costs at least 3 mana.
All right, it's in a braid.
Or 2, rather, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the 5th land, so tapping out 3 lands down to 1, yeah. But yeah, Alex is in a world of trouble here.
Right. Okay. Got to take that exerted thing off of his Glorybringer. There you go.
Which one? Oh, we got. Oh my! Yeah.
Here is the Eldest Reborn. Chapter 1, sacrifice a creature.
I mean, Nicol Bolas ruined that moquette enough, and finally went after Hazoret the Survivor. Bit of lore for you fans out there.
So cycle a card for Alex Hahn.
And we're done.
Wow, he's just going to go. Wow, he's at 3. Yeah. So focused on like Seth's board management that you forget that he was also working on Alex Hahn's life total.
Right, and that's the strength of these black-red decks is you can develop your board and board presence versus your opponent while dealing damage. Chain Whirler, Goblin Chain Whirler, Glorybringer, Chandra, all these cards deal with your opponent's board and deal damage to your opponent, which, you know, it all adds up, right? That 1 damage from Chain Whirler, that 4 from a dragon attack, that 2 from Chandra's pluses when you don't get card advantage. All of these little points of damage here and there add up. And then you realize, wait, I can just attack my opponent down because they're now at 8.
Give you an update from our other table where Mike Sigrist is playing against Jose Alvarez. Mike Sigrist up 1 game against Jose Alvarez. So he could be coming up on a pretty big finals here if Mike Sigrist and Seth Manfield can advance.
Player of the Year hopeful versus Player of the Year what is the term? Illuminist?
Alum. Yeah.
Alum, yeah. Alum.
Emeritus.
Emeritus, yes.
Seth Manfield, of course, a world champion, in addition to 4 Pro Tour top 8s. And
I actually heard that Seth Manfield's father was also a world champion at a different... Was it Bridge?
At Bridge, yeah, that's true. One of the first times I ever remember seeing Seth Manfield was at Grand Prix Daytona Beach in 2007 when he played against a young Paulo Vitor Damarosa in the finals of that GP, and the two of them chatted about Bridge because they were both Bridge players.
Yeah,
coming into this big Magic event.
Yeah, and I also want to highlight a bit Alex Hahn because obviously Seth going for Player of the Year, #1 ranked player in the world, so we have followed him throughout the day. You know, the story does revolve around this free person Player of the Year race. It is important to highlight it, and we know that there's a lot of you that are fans out there. But we know that there's also those Alex Hahn fans. I know you're fewer, but you are important. And I want to highlight how, when I've seen Alex Hahn play, I was impressed by the level of play, the composure, and I've really liked how Alex has approached, you know, all these matchups. I think Alex has really focused, you know, had the lucky break, so to speak, but then again, you know, you play well in order to be able to have those.
It's a weird coincidence. The better you play, the more lucky breaks you get. Right? Because you maximize the amount of turns you play, you maximize the amount of opportunities you have for lucky breaks.
Or you do the reverse, right? You're minimizing your opponent's chances of being lucky by diminishing the number of turns that they get to play Magic.
Absolutely.
And it's doing those two things, right? Or it's planning ahead.
Well, which is exactly what you're talking about when you said you were impressed with Alex's play. We saw him, right? That was him who had that thing where he pushed an attack through.
It has been a very long weekend.
I know. I blame Mike Sigrist. It was actually going pretty fast up until Mike Sigrist entered the picture.
I blame Underground Seed and Fetid Pools. Both. But no, it has been a really grindy weekend. Standard and Legacy, I think if you're fans at home of these grindy, gritty matchups, I think you've had an amazing weekend. an amazing 3-day show of just grindfest after grindfest. And I really hope you've enjoyed it so far.
I got to tell you, I know Goblin Chain World has been something of a villain.
Yeah, looks like a video game boss, has the picture of a villain, oppressive.
I don't care what I love Seth Manfield's deck.
Okay.
I love it. I love whenever someone's able to come in and say, okay, you know what? This is what the best deck in the format looks like. I'm going to play a lot of the same cards, but I'm going to play around with the dials a little bit. I'm not going to fall prey to the same things that your deck falls prey to. I'm going to go to a pre-sideboarded game 1 for this matchup. I mean, this is a classic Brad Nelson deck.
Right.
Really, right? You know, just an absolutely, I'm going to play the best deck, but a metagamed version of the best deck. Yeah,
just being pre-boarded, ready. It's actually interesting. If we do end up seeing that clash between Mike Sigris and Seth Mansfield, because they might have planned for blue-black mid-range, but not quite as much. So it'd be interesting to see how this different build would fare. Obviously, Alex could easily make it. Alex is on the play, is going to be able to put pressure on Seth. And a quick start, if Seth doesn't have the exact removal spell he needs at the right time, would allow Alex to capitalize one of those key 4-drops. These 4-drops for Alex, Hazoret the Fervent, Chandra, Torch of Defiance, Rekindling Phoenix, they only have value if they're not your first threat. They have value because they're your 3rd or 4th threat, and your opponent was forced to deal with all the others first.
All right, opening hands getting drawn up.
Yeah, we do start with 7.
Yeah, I've noticed Alex does that a couple times. He draws 6, looks at his hand, then draws his 7th.
Definitely better than some people I've seen draw a bit too, that have drawn 8 by accident.
All right, both players are keeping.
Yeah, Alex with a solid curve. 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop. Sometimes that's all you need, you know, good old limited games.
Just a mountain for Seth Manfield. Here comes Carry Zev, Skyship Raider, turn 2.
Yeah, Seth might... I don't know if Seth has a Chandra's Defeat or is posturing it. Okay.
I don't know. He has the Chandra's Defeat.
Right, and I think Seth is right to fire it off here. Taking next turn to use something like a Braid. Cut, I think Seth would have just waited and untapped and played because it's sorcery speed. But here, you want to be able to cut the free drop with a potential Abrade and minimize the amount of damage. Seth, in this matchup, does not want to take incidental damage or will be forced to be in a board position that he does not desire to be in.
Okay, a couple different options here for Alex Hahn on turn 3. He's going to go for Doomfall.
Right. If Alex Doomfalls here, that means he believes Seth has a 2-mana removal spell. Gets the kind of bad news that Goblin Chain Whirler would have been way better here.
Wow, this is a pretty slow do-nothing hand from Seth Manfield. He's got 1 removal spell. He's got an Eldest Reborn and 4 lands.
Well, here's the thing. This is actually a pretty good hand against a Doomfall. So, because Alex here, like... there's 2 kind of expensive, grindy options. You can take the Vraska's Contempt, which would answer your Phoenix a little too cleanly for your taste, or the Eldest Reborn because of the card advantage it does. The thing is, Seth can cycle that Canyon style and kind of protected that next draw. I think Alex here believed that Seth went Chandra's Defeat, and that kind of little timing may have told Alex maybe he has a Braid, and those little signals can add up. I mean, had Alex playing Chain Whirler, that would have been at least 1 damage, at least an attack, and Seth being forced to use that Vraska's Contempt potentially on Chain Whirler, letting Phoenix roam free. All
right, well, 2 unknown cards to Alex Hahn here. Seth Manfield does cycle that Canyon Sleuth at the end of the turn, draws a card for his turn. And what is his play going to be? Wow, he drew a Pianolar.
Yeah, well, Goblin Chain Whirler does get more value this way, so that's good. Now, Alex does know about Vraska's Contempt and has access to both Rekindling Phoenix and Hazoret.
Wow.
But we're gonna and we're gonna get into what may be one of the most interesting situations in Magic where, well, okay, we're not quite this turn, but soon we will, where Alex is going to have to play one of these 4-drops, and Seth is going to have to wonder, was this the test 4-drop, or is this the 4-drop that Alex is trying to do? If Alex is willing, for example, to, you know, put a Phoenix out there, Seth is like, wait, they know about Vraska's Contempt, so okay, what's the plan?
Seth just passes the turn here.
Yeah, can't attack into Chain Whirler. Don't want to be forced to commit into killing it since you taking free damage for the option to remove one of the powerful 4-drops is very important.
All right, here comes Rekindling Phoenix. That's going to be playing. I think Seth is going to be pretty happy too for Eska's Contempt that.
Yeah. So I think here it's actually kind of interesting whether you want Hazoret or Rekindling Phoenix in play. Since Seth does have quite a bit of exile removal, it kind of affects both. But at least with the Hazoret, you get an attack for 5 in, while the Phoenix does need a turn anyways. Oh, and I like this play. I really like this.
We've seen people 2 for 1 against their own Rekindling Phoenixes, but Alex Hahn goes for Chandra's Defeat on his own Rekindling Phoenix in response.
This is a key. This has been a lot of key draws for Seth.
Look at that. You see him cracking knuckles. He's like, ooh, I just got one over on the world champion.
Well, we had lots of draws, so we got the Magma Spray. But now I mean, Alex was hoping that Seth had another expensive removal spell and would have been forced to use it on the 0-1. But instead, Seth drew the very efficient Magma Spray. But also, Alex to go to 1 card in hand and Hazoret in.
Wow, here comes Hazoret. 2-turn clock. Goes from 16 to 8.
Also, important to note, Seth only had 3 mana up, nothing that really deals with Hazoret at instant speed for free.
I can tell you, by the way, Mike Sigrist is through to the finals. Averages out over the course of the quarters and the semis to 2 reasonably paced matches.
Wow, so we might be calling the finals very soon.
All right, Hazoret discards a card.
Yeah, no need for that A for Hub. Let's smash. Chump block. It looks like the end of the road for Seth is coming. And
Seth Manfield extends the hand. Alex Hahn playing quote-unquote nothing special red is the winner, and he's going to advance to the finals. He's going to play against Mike Sigrist. Mike Sigrist playing blue-black mid-range. So it is the tried and true black-red deck that makes it through here. The metagamed deck from Seth Manfield was not able to pull this one out.
And I mean, as well, like Mike shouldn't even be in this top 8. I'm sorry to say. It's not because Mike is an amazing player. It's just I got Sveinung Borgensen to message me on Twitter after I said like that game was amazing. Like if you haven't watched it, you owe yourself to watch round 15 game free. It doesn't last long. You're not wasting a lot of time.
There were only 4 minutes on the clock.
Actually, he corrected me. They started playing when there was 2 minutes and 13 seconds.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
Mike wins this game, and he wins it because his opponent decides to draw a card off Argo's Bloodfast in a spot where if his opponent literally played a land every turn and did nothing but like counter any creature that came around, it would have been a draw. His opponent would have had better tiebreakers, gone into top 8.
Crazy. Okay, Mike Sigrist versus Alex Hahn coming up next to determine your Grand Prix Richmond champion. Don't go anywhere.